something that will bring me up, whether it's reading a book or reading a quote or reading something, finding something positive to read, because I'm choosing to be better in life, and I choose happiness. You to connect the negatives with the positives in your life, and when you look at that, life becomes so much brighter, like so much brighter when you can do that. So, sometimes we have to reassess, like really to connect the negatives with the positives in your life, and when you look at that, life becomes so much brighter, like so much brighter when you can do that. Love you all, and you guys have an amazing, amazing Saturday.
Hi there. Happy Sunday, everyone. I'm Amy, and this is Parawomen Radio, and I'd like to welcome you all. I'd like to say hi to everybody out there in Twitter. Hi, Twitter. I'd like to say hi to everybody out there at Facebook. Hi, Facebook. And I'd like to say hi to everybody over on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. And then if I ever replay this on any other platform, hello to you too. Welcome, and I'm happy to have everybody here today. I thought what we would do today would, I've been getting a lot of notices from Reddit, a lot of activity over there on the Watts case, and I like to do deep dives. I like to do over on YouTube. I like to plug in and see what's new, and if anybody's posting anything new, anything fun, anything interesting on the Watts case. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to share my screen, and if you guys could just give this video a thumbs up, a heart, and also share if you enjoy it. If you could share my content, that would be so amazing for me, and I would appreciate it. And if you like the content, be sure to subscribe. If you're on YouTube, make sure to ring the bell. Okay. So let me make sure you can see it. Okay, you can. Let me move myself around here. There we go. So what I have done up here is I typed in Chris Watts update. Let's do updates. Chris Watts update, August 2020. Chris Watts update, 35C still on. That was 2 years ago, though. I want something. Well, let's see what this has. I think CW considered faking his own death. What do you think about that, you guys? Do you think Chris Watts was considering faking his own death? Was he going out there to blow up the oil fields and make it seem like he got blown up in the invasion or the invasion? Wow. I've been watching a lot of TV the last few days because my anxiety is really bad. And when I do that, if I can bring myself to focus on something, it brings my anxiety down. Let's see. All right. I think CW considered faking his own death. Here's why. On the morning of the murders, he loaded a gas can into the truck. He later claimed he considered using this to kill himself, which I don't believe for 1 second. And then this must be links to when he said all this. A disposable green cigarette lighter was found in the front passenger side door panel of his truck. Neither he nor Shanann smoked. Discovery page 8. Okay. He wrote a letter in North Carolina. All right. To whom it may concern, if anyone gets this letter, I would never do anything to hurt myself or my children or my wife. If anything happens to me, please investigate my wife. Well, this is like building a pretty good case. The handwriting and signature on his letter matched the cards he gave NK and his signature on other documents. After CW was arrested, his parents claimed he had left it with his sister Jamie, and they gave it to his defense team, who I'm sure promptly saw how very stupid and incriminating it was for Chris. The DA said they weren't aware of it. Another Redditor on this sub shared details of an interview with Ronnie and Cindy did in November 2018 at the end of the segment around 1:53 mark, the reporter says to the police, says the family told him about the letter. There is a letter they say the defense has. He said it in he said it and he wrote, if anything happened to me, to my happens to me, look at my wife. Oh, okay, this must be word for word what it was saying. Okay, so that's actually a pretty good case. What do you guys think? Do you think that he considered harming himself prior to um, being caught? This person says, oh, absolutely. But in my humble opinion, he's got the kind of mind that would consider something outlandish like this. Probably. After all, this is the guy who thought he could just kill his wife and kids, dispose of them at his work site, say they went on a play date, and live happily ever after with NK. Total la la land in his head. It is kind of la la land in his head. Let's see, let's go back and see. Family annihilators and domestic violence murderers whose families have refused to hold them accountable and even praised them after the conviction suicide. Michael Haight, Chris Watts, and those much lesser known. Okay, so this person's asking, are there any other families that don't hold the murderers accountable and even praise them? The Powell family is full of terrible people except for the poor sister who is the only one seeking justice for Suzanne. That's another, yeah, the Powell family is a horrible one, but there was a lot of dysfunction. Well, I mean, there was a lot of documented known dysfunction. I don't think we have yet. We can only guess what the dysfunction was in the Watts family. Videos taken Shanann along with her husband. Okay. I'm not seeing too much new stuff. Neeks Peaks, Chris Watts, Talking Dolls. Oh, please. No. They're not still talking about the Talking Dolls, are they? All right. I've said for a while that we needed a sticky about the covered doll picture that is mysteriously created. Oh, okay. I thought they were talking about the doll in the closet. Created to CW, even though it was taken and posted while SW was watching the kids and CW at work. And there's no mention whatsoever of it being taken by CW until people started to think it made SW look guilty. And then voila, the narrative said that it came. Oh, geez. Just my opinion, but if Chris took the picture, Shanann most likely would have said so, as she was always wanting to call him out for something. She laughed about the photo after making her innocent comments. The photo was Shanann written all over it. Staged, sick, and juvenile for laughs. Here's the thing, though. How did we get to the point where we think that CW took the picture? He was at work. And we have examples of CW posting other pictures like this. I just don't have any idea of why this picture is so controversial. I think it's controversial because of what happened, because of the murder of the kids. I feel like if this could have just been the kids playing with the doll, moving the blanket back and forth, child gets distracted, walks away, the blanket's like that. I mean, if it came from a murderer, then it means something a little bit more, and that's, I feel, is the difference. I got to try not to get too upset. You've got it tuned into Pairwoman Radio, and I'm Amy. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs or a heart. It helps me, sends my videos out into the algorithm, and it helps me tremendously. It's just a free way to help me out, and I so appreciate it. I'm not really seeing a whole lot over new stuff on Reddit. It just is a lot of the same stuff that gets discussed over on YouTube. Let's keep digging. Let's see what else. Late to the party bringing, but this Chance guy gives terrible vibes. Chris Watts type. A lot of Neeks Peak stuff in there, huh? Chris Watts here. I only started hearing about Neeks Peaks about 3 or 4 months ago. Chris Watts' coworker said he became grumpy at work in the months before the murder. Okay, let's see. Did it take you? No. Let me look at this real quick and see if it's worth. Came over. Okay, yeah, I guess let's look at it. Stop sharing. And then we will share. I wonder if other YouTubers have as much problem popping back and forth between channels as I do. I find it like hard to talk and do that at the same time. I guess the more I do it, the easier it'll be. Okay, so this is a story on meaww.com. Chris Watts' coworker reveals the change that came over him before he killed wife and 2 daughters. I'm a little hungry. I started this new diet, keto, and I feel great, but then at the same time I don't feel great. So I hope that after a week I'll start feeling better. This is like day 7 or 6. So wanted to order something bad today. But I'm going to try to keep going. But I think I'm going to have to go get something to eat real quick. I'm going to put this on a small break, and we'll read this new article together. But let me see. I've been working on... Oh, I know. I'm going to put it on the break. The new video I put up. My break video. Here we go. I'll be right back, you guys, okay?
And I want to take a love.
Don't pretend you're sorry, even if you're crying. You know how to make me worry. I can tell you're lying.
Looking through old photos, you and I were both of different kinds of colors. I'm glad I'm not yours.
Why am I feeling like
I
want you to be mine?
and I
Want you to be mine? Looking through old photos, different kinds of colors.
and I
Okay, I am back. I coughed right into the microphone thinking that I had it muted, so I do apologize for that. It's such a very cold day in Florida today. I have blankets on, flannels, a cozy little warm heater going, and it's just like really, really cold. So here we go. Chris Watts' coworker. Oh, by the way, this is Parawoman Radio, and you've got it tuned into, oh my lordy, Amy. So this is Parawoman Radio, and I'm Amy, and I sometimes talk to myself and say, what are you doing, Amy? But this is Parawoman Radio. If you could give this a thumbs up, this nonsense that I'm blabbering about would be really great, or a heart. So this is a story about Chris Watts' coworker, and he's saying that in the months leading up to the murders, he was acting different. And this is from the Reddit subreddit page. Which subreddit was it? It's from the subreddit Watts' Free for All. Frederick, Colorado. Chris Watts, who worked as an oil field operator at Anadarko Petroleum in Frederick, Colorado, committed a truly shocking crime, killing his own family. This crime was portrayed in the Netflix series American Murder: The Family Next Door. Now, one of his coworkers revealed how he first noticed Watts was changing. Watts seemed to lead a happy suburban life with his wife Shanann, a weight loss product salesperson, and their two daughters, Bella, age 4, and Celeste, age 3. However, a nightmare quickly became a reality when things took a tragic turn in August 2013 when Watts No, in August 2018, when Watts suffocated his two young kids and strangled his pregnant wife, Shanann. He committed the heinous crimes after having an affair as a result of marital problems and a desire to start again. After carrying out the brutal murders, Watts co-workers who shared a solid working relationship with him observed a change in the father, who used to keep pictures of his daughter on his phone. One of the co-workers, Bryan Spence, spoke about how he first saw Watts was starting to flip. Speaking to People, Spence said, "Things changed. He changed. I watched him get more and more unhappy with his life. He went from being a friendly guy to being withdrawn and angry. I saw him lose his temper over little workplace annoyances. He had an irritable side with the contractors. He could be combative." Who is Spence? I don't know who this Spence guy is. Do you guys? Bryan Spence. I have to admit that the Anadarko side of the Watts case is the part that I know very little. I don't know a lot about. See this beautiful family, beautiful married couple with two little girls and another baby on the way. They look perfect, ideal family. The picture and the Facebook profiles look like they could have came straight out of a magazine. Well, some of them did. Spence admitted that he didn't know what had changed Watts's mood, but he did point out that Watts was no longer eager to get home to his family. Watts was also the last one to leave whenever they went out for beers after work. Despite the warning signs, Spence was oblivious that he would harm his family in such heinous way. I mean, who really thought that this was going to happen? I really don't think everybody probably noticed that it was like he was a little weird and Shanann was a little weird and things were off, but nobody would be like, hey, they're acting weird. I bet they're going to be murdered. Right? I mean, nobody thinks that. Spence said that I didn't see coming. I know he was unhappy, but he's not the first unhappy guy in the history of the world, and most of them don't kill their wives. He was obviously in pain, but I didn't know it was going to end that way. If I had any idea, I would have pulled him aside and said something, but he hid it. One knew Watts. No one knew Watts's neighbor also picked up on the warning signs that something wasn't quite right before his crimes were ultimately discovered. What was that just? What did I just read? Let me say it again. Spence said that I didn't see coming. I knew he was unhappy, but he's not the first unhappy guy in the history of the world, and most of them didn't. Okay. He was obviously in pain, but I didn't know it was going to end that way. If I had any idea, I would have pulled him aside and said something, but he hid it. No one knew. Watts' neighbor also picked up on the warning signs that something also wasn't quite right before his crimes were ultimately discovered. That is like the weirdest last paragraph. Okay. All right. I'm not here to critique how somebody writes. Okay, so Bryan Spence. I don't know Bryan Spence. Do y'all know who Bryan Spence was in the Watts case? Because I do not. Let's go over to YouTube and see if we can go down the Bryan Spence rabbit hole. Anybody know who Bryan Spence is? I'm sure you do. I'm probably saying it and you're like yelling it into the microphone. But I can't hear you. Okay.
Cam footages. I see that it should only take Chris about 15 seconds to get from that internal garage to the front door.
I'll answer the
do this, but it's not just that. It's that they called him to manipulate him because they Chris and tell you
talking about
Yeah,
the case more or less.
but
Yep.
nothing.
And he was trying to say, Frank said that Chris will always have a place in his heart. But he said, and girls. So I said, there's nothing negative about any of them.
Nothing.
And he was trying to say, Frank said that Chris will always have a place in his heart.
They know how to get to him.
Right. They know how to get to him. They know how to get to him.
manipulating him.
Yeah, exactly what they're trying to do.
No,
And they're
Chris said-
they're trying to get you shut down.
No.
Well, to get you to stop talking about
No,
the case more or less.
but no, they can't get you shut down, so they're going through Chris and tugging at his heartstrings, and trying to get us, to say, Chris, oh gosh, yeah, we will do this. I promise you, we will do this. But it's not just that. It's that they call him to manipulate him because they know he wants to do right by them. He wants to, and even said God's prayers were answered. That Frank called and said, I have a place in his heart. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is why Frankie's in the dark. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, he's in the dark about it all, and he's the one that's actually being used by Sandy, to be the voice of the family because he's more believable.
Yeah, because I know there's no way Sandy will get on the phone with him. I tell you that. There ain't no way in hell Sandy will get on the phone with him.
No,
Never.
not a chance in the world.
But, Well, then, like I told Chris, I said the only thing Dave is doing, he's not blowing up the Ruzaks about this, that, and the other. I said he's just looking for answers, Chris. I said the name of his channel is Seeking the Truth with Dave.
Yep, Ronnie defended you.
I defended you.
All the way
Thank
through
you.
everything
Thank you.
Yeah.
to tell you.
And I said,
All
I
the
said,
stuff Ronnie brought up tonight, and Chris said, he said, well, I knew this was going to happen. He said, but I thought you'd wait till Wednesday or Thursday. He said, I didn't know you were going to bring everything up tonight. And we did. We brought everything to him. Everything.
Really?
Everything. And he's the what? Oh, you tell him that. Oh my God, Ronnie was dramatic.
Well, I wasn't dramatic.
You were dramatic.
Well, I might have been. He was sitting there, he just got finished eating, and I got a paper plate. Because once he sits down, he can't get up. He can't look at the food. He's not allowed to move once he sits down. And the food stuff was right behind us, and I got him the food. And he was eating the cheeseburger and stuff. When he was done, I walked back over there and got another plate, and I just threw it down on the table in front of him. I said, see that right there, Chris? I put my hand across it like I did that plate at the house. I said, that's an 8-inch plate. Pretty much. It might be maybe a little bit smaller, but it's pretty much an 8-inch plate. I said, you look at that, and you tell me how them girls went down that. He just sat there and stared at it. I said, them girls did not go down through them hatches, Chris.
Like I don't believe the measurement.
Well, you take somebody that's alive and kicking and squeezing and turning the body this way and trying to get arms and everything. Yes, that's possible, maybe. But I think that was over 8 inches in diameter the way I looked at it. But yeah, you cannot take a dead body. I don't mean to say it that way. and try to force it down through that
No.
without having marks all over them and cuts all over them and everything, and probably
Yep,
all kinds of wounds all
absolutely.
over. There's no way, because if you look at the picture of the hatch, it's even got part of the opening is not
Not as wide.
No,
It's not
No,
as wide
it
when you get those to go in.
it had part of the edge that was not cut out right. It was, there
Yeah.
was less made in it, so you could do it.
And
I
it
said,
was
there's no
sharp.
way in. He said, and I said, let me answer this. Okay, so if they went through the side, well, he said that one tank had like 7 or 8 foot of, oil and stuff in it. I said, yeah. So that if they have to take off the sides, that means oil's going to come out of it. Somebody would have to clean that up. I said, what about the water tank that come out there?
Yeah. And
I said, what about Troy coming out there again Tuesday? Just to look around. What about him saying that Chris might have buried evidence at 1029? He just was sitting there and looked at me. I said, Chris, there's a hell of a lot of shit you don't know.
and what Frank said, you got to stop telling, you've got to stop them from all your coworkers being talked about over the internet. You need to stop it, Chris.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Dave, this is just for your ears now. We can't.
yeah,
I know it's hard.
At least not for now.
Not for now, anyway. Till we.
No.
I know.
Let us
Well,
get through this.
let us get. I know it's just day one. We started 2 more days ago.
Yeah, this is just it. And Ronnie kept going with the questions and the questions and the questions and the questions. And Chris said, all I can do is remember what I remember.
He said
He said, I
I
wish I could.
remember.
He said, I really do. And I believe him that I think I believe him that
And he kept asking. I said, you tell about NK's phone ping, her being outside your house. I said, the girls won't fit through there. I said, your personal phone was there. Your work phone didn't show up until 2 hours later. I said, there's no steps climbing any stairs on either one of your phones.
yeah,
I said, how does any? This makes sense, Chris. I said, none of it lines up with the story you told them.
It's like a blank.
No, exactly. Like the story he told them in Wisconsin, right, is that
I said, did they coerce you or try to make you change your answers or anything? Or he said they're trained to do that. They said that if they don't get the right answer, they ask the question in a different way till they get what they want. He said they're trained to do that.
Of course they did.
He said, of course they did. They didn't get to hear what they wanted to hear. They changed the question.
If he said it wasn't, exactly what we probably saw on.
I've never listened to that interview. No,
I listened to part of it. I couldn't listen anymore. I asked him. I said, "Can you tell me what you were thinking?" He said, "Mom," he said, I said, how did you think that you were going to get away with it? He said, I wasn't. He said, we were talking. She was telling me I would never see my kids again. He said, it felt, and this is his word, it felt like an entity came into his body. Did cover up the
I remember that. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, he said Troy's a really, really good guy. And now, actually,
I said, well, he said you might have buried evidence. That's what he told the FBI or whoever it was.
And he just looked
And
down.
yeah.
Here, come on. I said, I don't remember. Unless it is like, and I see the sincerity in his face. I see the pain in his face. I see that he believes he is supposed to be there and he has accepted it. I mean, I saw it. He said he's not, he tried to tell him that Troy McCoy, Cody Roberts, Nicole Kessinger threw you under the bus for
Chad McNeil and Melissa Parrish. They all changed their, right, Chad and Melissa changed their story. Okay.
You guys, I've had my microphone muted this whole time. I've been talking, commenting, doing whatever. You can't hear anything that I've just said. But what I did say was I'm skipping around because I want you to go over to Dave's page to watch the whole video yourself. I also said that I don't blame the Watts. I don't think that they're horrible people for continuing to love their son. I do think that they're wrong about thinking that Chris should be outside of prison, because Chris is exactly where Chris needs to be, because Chris indeed did kill his family. We don't know if there were people that helped him, because Chris conveniently cannot remember. He conveniently cannot remember in spots that is convenient.
Match Troy. Okay, in regards to talking about the baggy clothes and the boots, they actually called in after Troy had altered his statement and talked about the baggy boots, the boots and the baggy clothes.
Yeah.
Troy got to them. Okay, the water truck driver, Chris Ostrander, was organised by Cody Roberts, who was living with Troy.
I brought up the water truck.
Yep, he did.
So I asked him, I said, what about the water truck coming out there? So what about Troy coming back out there the next day looking around? For what?
For what?
And I said, what about Troy saying he thought you buried evidence at 1029? He said, I took a dump out there. And I said, well, he said you might have buried evidence. That's what he told the FBI or whoever it was.
And he just...
Oh, okay. So the person, it was figured out that the person who went poo out in the oil fields was Troy. It was Troy who did it, not Chris, because I have read things that when people murder another person, it makes them have to go to the bathroom. For example, it happened in that case, the Knox case. What was her first name? I can't think of her first name, but it was the Knox case that happened in Italy. And that was like one of the things she noticed in the bathroom. That was the thing that made her notice that something was awry in the house. It wasn't the blood.
on the sink, and it wasn't the blood on the bath mat. Amanda Knox. I don't know why that I knew it started with an A, but Amanda Knox, she didn't worry about the blood on the sink, and she didn't worry about the bloody footprint on the mat. What she became very concerned about was the poo in the toilet. So, and there was another case where there was feces left behind, and the one of the psychologists said this is like something that happens, and I can understand that, because when I get nervous or I get really when I get really nervous, I immediately have to go to the bathroom, whether it be number 1 or number 2. So yeah, all right, we're talking about the poo now.
And he looked like, damn. I mean, he didn't know about any of that stuff.
No, none of it. Not one thing did we know about.
What I told him was,
do you remember a year ago? Remember a year ago, you guys spoke to him on the phone. I said, Troy, over a year ago, actually, Jesus, it was when we first started talking. I said, Troy, threw him under the bus. Troy's a piece of shit. I need you to tell him that Troy's a piece of shit. So you pretty much told him, Ronnie. Dave says, Troy is an absolute piece of shit. And Chris said, no, he's a really good guy. Do you remember he said that to you?
I remember that,
Yeah.
Well, he said, Troy.
I don't know. I don't want to talk about this part because I don't know anything about Troy, so I have no
I remember
comment on that.
What were we told by Kim Stout? What did she tell us?
Be sure to go over and
Doctor
listen to the whole thing.
Like the girl was hanging.
Also, I wanted to say, I don't know if I had my mic muted for, I think, 20 minutes, but I wanted to say that now is a truce time with Dave. If you don't like him, and also, I never want anyone to go over and send any negativity, but right now, especially because Dave has had a serious loss and he's raw, and I just think that during these type of time, you need to let people heal a little bit before you.
Up there and all this type of shit. I said, I've never seen anything like that nowhere.
Yeah, another story. One was, okay, you got to remember. What were we
What
told?
is this? Why is it covered like that? Does anyone know?
By Kim Stout. What did she tell us?
Really? Why is that covered like that? Is it being cleaned or something?
For us, it was because of people camping. Now, Frank Senior is now talking about seances. What's the story? You know what I mean? Like, this is...
Seances.
We had a very interesting day there, Dave.
Sure did, Dave. It was so interesting.
Right,
what was...
You're going to have to ask.
I have to go back. Seances.
Chris is realizing Troy is not a good guy.
No. No, but Frank is making Chris. He said, "Oh, I heard you found God in prison.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you."
And what is wrong with that? They're weaponizing everything Frank says. Frank had a very intense relationship with Chris. I am pretty positive that Frank and Sandy and Frankie all considered Chris either a son or a brother. So I just don't get it. I do get it, but okay, I do get it.
Wait a minute. The thing is, this too much of a coincidence.
There was bickering and fighting before the death, and there's bickering and fighting after the death.
That he talked to him Friday, and we're here this week.
Did you tell him also that he told Chris? Let me see it. He told Chris, "Yeah, I do have. I did cover up the girls. You know,
wait a minute. The thing is,
what did he cover up?
This too much of a coincidence that he talked to him Friday, and we're here this week.
Did you tell him also that he told Chris? Let me see it. He told Chris, "Yeah, I do have. I did cover up the girls. You know, the grave site because I knew Dave was coming."
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh boy, what have you done? Why? Okay, now I know why the gravesite was covered up.
Do a video, a documentary or something. So he did cover it up for you. And he also said that there were they put cameras up. He's explaining the cameras to Chris because they were doing seances out there and taking pictures.
Taking pictures and then go back.
I'm sure those were paranormal investigators.
And they was taking pictures of the gravesite and then go back.
And this is the point in the rechecks where I go off the path with them. I'm walking down the road with them hand in hand, but this is when we have to let go of our hands because people should, great. Unless the cemeteries are private and not open to the public, then yes. But if it's a cemetery that's open to the public, people, and as long as they're not destroying anything, I do not agree. I agree with them on this, that this should not be covered to prevent somebody from seeing it. Although I can see why. I get the pettiness. I get it. But I also just always wish that people would rise above. I always try to rise above. It's not always easy to rise above. And when you rise above, people hate you for it. But in the long run, in your heart, when you rise above, it's so much better for you. It's so much more healthy for you.
Like the girls hanging up there and all this type shit. I said, I've never seen anything like that nowhere.
Yeah, another story. One was, okay, you got to remember, what were we told by Kim Stout? What did she tell us? She told us it was because of people camping. Now, Frank Senior is now talking about seances. What's the story?
Were there people camping out there? Did they?
We had a very interesting day there, Dave.
When I have so many questions. When Dave was there and that was covered, did they uncover it? Because I know there are photos and videos of them sitting out there and it's not covered. They must have uncovered it. So ridiculous.
Right,
but it's not ridiculous, you guys. It's not just mascara. If you know, you know.
You're breaking up. What now?
A very hard question that you're going to have to ask is asking where he went after the party.
Well, I brought that up too. I said some people say the girls
Ronnie
were dead Sunday night. You killed them, or they died Sunday night before Shanann even got home. And he's still saying that he said one thing that was kind of strange. He don't remember, as far as Shanann saying he will never see the girls again that night when she got home, or if it was that right before she left to go to Arizona.
Yeah, he said that.
Have you seen that?
No, he said I told her in that conversation I was seeing somebody else.
Yeah.
And she said, I knew it. You will never see your girls ever again.
Oh, right. Okay.
Shanann would have sat with her girlfriends and said that Chris said this before I left, and they would have been discussing it in text. It was said just prior to her death, and he knows that. He says these things to confuse his parents.
He didn't even sleep with her.
Yeah.
When she got home, he went to the basement. He didn't sleep with her. According to everything that Chris said, that they had sex, in his interview, he said it didn't happen. He said when they got home from North Carolina, Do
you think that Chris is trying to backtrack and say that the sex didn't happen because of the fact that he still believes that someday he's going to see Nikki again, and so he's still trying to let Nikki know that she's his true and only, except for the fact that the last woman that Chris ever had sex with was his wife, Shanann. That's irony. That's irony.
Couldn't sleep with her.
Well, he said in that interview in Wisconsin, they had sex that night when she got home from Arizona.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I don't think it did either.
but that sex, he was having sex with NK downstairs in the basement.
Yeah.
Not Shanann.
I gave him a lot to think about tonight.
Oh,
I do not believe for a second. I don't believe that. I do
You're-
believe something happened in that basement,
Good man.
Well,
but I don't know what it is.
out.
he was wore out.
He was. After Ronnie got finished with him, I mean, and Chris says, no, they were killed at Survey 3. And I mean, it's like he's out of his ever-loving mind. And then D.A. Rourke says they were taken out in garbage bags.
No, they
And
weren't.
then Chris says, no, they were killed at Survey 319. And Chris, I just don't know anymore. But
No,
tell Ron what he
don't know
said.
how they doesn't know how they got in the tank. He didn't kill the girl.
I don't think he did either.
He did kill the girls. It's so nice for the parents to try to believe that Chris only killed the evil woman that they hated, but Chris killed the girls.
He
But
didn't.
the question is, how did they? No matter who killed them, how did they get in the oil tanks?
Yeah, Chris doesn't know.
Sunday night after the party.
Isn't that convenient that Chris doesn't know a lot about what happened to the girls when oh,
You need to focus. You need to retrace his steps from leaving the Lindstrom.
In the park.
Okay? Because his phone doesn't connect to the router until 9 p.m.
So 9 o'clock.
on Sunday night.
Bring that.
Where did he go for 4 hours?
When he had the girls.
When
But
he
the
had
question is, okay, they were found in the oil tanks. Okay, if it happened that way, they were found in the oil tanks.
And Chris,
How did they get in?
yeah.
We don't
Because
know, because were the girls killed and left at Surrey? And then the cleanup crew came along.
I can't.
Cindy, but
I'm
before
sorry,
that,
you guys. I can't
right,
listen
before
to that part.
that is when
yeah, I remember.
the phone went off, his work phone went
looking
off,
at it.
and he was looking at it. Just
Okay.
after that, he put his head in his hands,
Yeah.
all right, and just after that, he started.
Okay, guys, I am going to stop there. I really encourage you guys to go over to Dave's page and, yeah, you think Chris didn't kill anyone? Suburb of Dreams? I don't know. I have a lot of, I don't know how you would come to that conclusion. But I think that if I want my opinions to be respected, I always have to try and respect others. So I don't agree with it, but I can respect it because you said it in such a kind way. But I would like to know also why you think that he killed no one. This is like kind of like a situation where I see no end to it. So I don't really get into these type of conversations because it's just exactly what you believe and what I believe, and then there's where Chris is and the fact that Chris is a convicted liar on top of everything else. It's hard to, well, I don't believe Chris. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to go down that road because there is evidence, but you can have your opinion and I'll have mine. I don't get into these conversations because, oh yeah, okay. See, I get it. Okay, I get it. Yeah, I have figured out that at Dave's page that they all think that Chris is pretty much a POS, but they also don't think he did it. So it's confusing to me. But I think that if anyone's going to solve it at this point, it's going to be the Wattses because they're the ones that are the closest to him. But they know when Chris is lying and when he's not because they're the ones that raised him. So if they could just remember that and remember that they have the BS meter for Chris, or possibly no one has the BS meter for Chris, but if anyone would know when Chris was lying, it would be them. And I always notice that when they think he's telling the truth, they will say, and I believe him. But when they're not sure he's telling the truth, they'll say, and I think I believe him, or I don't know what the truth is. So that's when I can kind of tell when he's gone way off the rails and he's not telling the truth. But when the Wattses say they believe him, I am more likely to believe him as well. But that's just my deduction. I really encourage everyone to go research and really to go over to Dave's page and listen to the whole video, because I skipped around purposely because I want you to go over and watch the whole video, because I don't know, I think there's some interesting thing. Ronnie seemed to be like the investigator that 3-day weekend. He talked to him about the plate. Ronnie's new thing seems to be the plates and the oil, the girls being found in the oil well. He seems to really want to figure that out. I can't tell where the mom is because I did skip around so much. I don't know where she's at, but they just seem to want to know the truth still. And it seems to me like they're not, they kind of took the kids' gloves off because they really seem to want to know. So I hope it is them that figures it out, because it would be nice to know something. And I truly think that they need to stop giving away this information and start putting it in a book or their own web page, Patreon or whatever. So I hope everyone has a wonderful Sunday. Whether you agree with me or not, I hope that you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Sends my videos out into the algorithm, lets me dance out there and get some attention. I hope it's such a windy, blustery, cold day in Florida. It's in February. It's the hardest months of the winter. So, you're right. We don't need a book, just a trial, but we're not going to get a trial. So I'd rather have something than nothing at all. And so I feel like that's not a trial's never going to happen. The trial's been done. And as far as the justice system is concerned, the case is closed. So yeah, we're never having a trial. Never. Although I should never say never, because things that I say never will happen are happening. For example, Scott Peterson. Look what's happening with him. So just for the record, I believe Chris is where he needs to be. And but I do believe that he had some help, because he's not that smart of a guy to pull off all that he did. Although some will say that he didn't pull off anything, but he did pull it off because he managed to unalive all of his family, and he's not that smart to do it by himself. So that's where I stand on it. I have sympathy for the Watts. I have sympathy for the Ruchecks. I say when I disagree with each family. And I believe this is a case that we can learn from. I don't believe it's a case that needs to just be put on the shelves and, done that with our hands. I don't believe that. So this week I am working on getting out the JonBenet Ramsey case with skin care and peptides. I've decided I'm going to make that the Valentine's Day show. Skincare and suspects, and I will be working on the Daryl Brooks case next week. We're going to watch the trial, and of course I will always be giving you the newest and the latest updates on the Watts case. Thanks everyone for stopping by. Bye everyone. I can think of if this wasn't showing as much, she does have that kind of skin tone that when there's any kind of like disruption on the skin, it gets really red, bright red at first, and then it dies down. But this over here, this looks like it's blood or something, unless maybe this is just blood and then she got it cleaned up. That could be too, but I mean, she's still got these, all this. Wow.
911 emergency. Police. What's going on? 515th Street. What's going on there, ma'am? We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please. Explain to me what's going on, okay? There's a note left and our daughter's gone. A note was left and your daughter is gone? How old is your daughter? 6 years old. She's gone. 6 years old. How long ago was it? I don't know. I just have the note. And my daughter's dead. Does it say who took her? What? Does it say who took her? I don't know. There's a ransom note here. It's a ransom note? It says FBTC. Victory. Please. Okay, what's your name? Are you Kathy Ramsey in the number? Oh my God. Please. Okay, I'm setting it off the film, okay? Do you know how long she's been gone? No, I don't.
Bad days. I have my off days. We all do. We're human, right? But on those days, I choose to do something that will bring me up, whether it's reading a book or reading a quote or reading something, finding something positive to read, because I'm choosing to be better in life, and I choose happiness. You to connect the negatives with the positives in your life, and when you look at that, life becomes so much brighter, like so much brighter when you can do that. So, sometimes we have to reassess, like really to connect the negatives with the positives in your life, and when you look at that, life becomes so much brighter, like so much brighter when you can do that. Love you all, and you guys have an amazing Saturday.